All right, goodness, welcome back to the Pavilion Debrief. And this is a show that we do win, lose, or draw for Arsenal. And if you guys could, are increasingly loving this content, please, hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with as many Arsenal fans as possible. We want to grow this community, and we cannot do it without you. So I really appreciate all of you who are watching this. So thank you very much. So as you sit there watching this and enjoying this, let's think about the Arsenal game. Port Vale in the Carabao Cup. Arsenal are through to the next round after beating Port Vale 2-0. Job done, clean sheet, a couple of nice goals, but of course there's some talking points as well. And tonight in our classic three ups and three down, and yes, it involves a certain 15-year-old who stepped in for Bukayo Saka. So let's get into it. All right, guys, first one, three ups. It's got to be the early goal. Nothing calms a cup tie as a very early goal. So every thought about an upset is just put to rest. And Sky Sport did their best to build that up. All the conversations with the opposing team, the managers, the legend, they even reference, old Arsenal games with Port Vale. There was a particular one where Port Vale held Arsenal to the 1-1 draw, but Arsenal progressed in penalties. They were trying to drive that spirit, up. And after 8 minutes, you score a goal, it calms, everyone down, calms the nerves down. And Port Vale had to chase from then on. And then we could then manage the game, play it on our own terms. I like that. And early goals is something that has been a bit of a rarity for Arsenal. So I'm hoping that that's a habit that continues. So early goals in a game, settle things down. I love that. Absolutely love that. Right, let's talk about number two. Number two has got to be Eze's goal. I really like that for Eze. I like that for his confidence. Um, I like that because that goal is not just important for Arsenal. It is important for him. You come into a big club like Arsenal, you need a moment. You need a moment to feel like you belong. You need a moment to be part of the contribution. What am I bringing to the club? The club has paid a lot of money for you. Everyone is expecting big things. Games that he doesn't start, everyone wants him to start. We talk about the Liverpool, we talk about the Man City game and everyone is crying out that he starts. So for him, I love that he could get an early goal in this game and, almost kind of, put all the noise around because as long as you don't score a goal, people are eventually going to jump on your back. So I really love that. He was sharp. It was a tidy finish, as well. I really, really love that finish. Love the finish. Don't know if it was an assist. I think they gave the assist to Miles Lewis Kelly. But again, Miles Lewis Kelly, 18-year-old, really, really love what he did. But, this is about Eze, and I like it. He scored a goal. Hopefully that gives him confidence. Hopefully that gives the manager confidence. I expect to see Eze in more games for Arsenal going forward. So that was definitely good, and especially with all the rotations that was happening. And I can see that Arteta is trying a few experiments, in terms of playing as a, not just maybe as a 10, maybe sometimes drifting him into the left-sided eight, or even the right-sided eight as well. Maybe building up to allow him have the flexibility to play across the midfield. So that's one for us to watch. And of course, my last three are the Max Dowman effect. Honestly, this kid is special. I really love the fact that he has no fear. And Saka was getting kicked off the park as is customary. We tend to see that every single game. I really hope that ankle injury wasn't too massive because, with Madueke, off injured, I really want Saka, fit and ready to go. But took Saka off. Great that that happened. That Max Dowman comes in and he wanted the ball. He wanted to play. He was calling for the ball time after time. And he had two significant moments in that game that I do want to call out. The first one was when he sent that really accurate pass, a one-time pass straight to Gyökeres. And Gyökeres should score. But of course, the opposing players, are professional players as well. So there was a block in there. But I really love that. That one-time ball is something that Arsenal have been trying to do as much as possible to build up a lot quicker. And I see one of those passes again in the last couple of games to Gyökeres. I want more of that because I need Gyökeres to feel comfortable. I need him to settle in. So I love that for Max Dowman. Excuse me. The second one was the flick. It was a delicate flick. It was so good. That flick was too good. You could put cream on top of it. That's just how amazing it was. I really, really, you look at Max Dowman as 15-year-old kid, and you start to wonder, what is the potential of this kid? The Ballon d'Or was just done a couple of nights ago, and you saw Lamine Yamal, second position in the Ballon d'Or. Is that the future for Max Dowman? What I do like as well is the way that Arteta is also managing him, and you need to give Arteta credit for that. We're talking about bringing him into games, maybe one out of every three games. And if he goes by that record, you're looking at about 10 games or 12, 10 to 15 games, overall in the season. I think that's decent, not loading him too much, but still making him feel part of the squad and contributing, to the squad as well. I really love him, and they say, do we have another Saka cover? Even at his age, I love that. Okay, three ups done. Let's talk about three downs because we need to talk about that, right? I think for me, wasteful possession. And this is not, so much as a criticism, because always context is important. But let's be honest, for all our dominance that we had against Port Vale, we didn't really create clear-cut opportunities. Lots of passing, lots of control. But Port Vale were dogged. They weren't under siege. It wasn't like as if their goalkeepers were making save after save after save. Their keeper wasn't tested nearly enough, until much later in the game. And against tougher oppositions, you want to penetrate a little bit more. So that was a little bit of maybe a bit of a hangover, I would say, from that Man City game, that people widely criticized Arsenal for. But it's early days. So these are all things that you can correct. You win. That's the most important thing. Second down for me, sloppy defensive moment. There was a moment there with Mosquera where he made an errant pass, and he did that, for against Liverpool too, as well. It nearly gifted Port Vale, a chance. And against better oppositions, you don't want to do that, right? So, Devante Cole had a shot that wasn't far off. I think Kepa saw it all the way through. But those lapses don't matter 2-0 at Vale. But against, tougher oppositions, Newcastle, who will be playing next, you could be dead. So these are little habits, that we would like to sharpen up, I would say. And third down for me, Saka. Obviously going off, and I hope he's okay. So we'll be obviously looking at the news, looking at what Arteta says, looking at what comes up from Arsenal.com, just to see how he is. Maybe the pictures around training, going into this Newcastle game will tell us how fit he is. We need Saka. He's a talisman. He makes things happen. You need him in that squad, and he gives you lots of options, right? So I think we keep our fingers crossed that he comes back, nothing serious, because our season definitely looks very different without Saka. So, guys, overall, it was a professional win by Arsenal. Eze stepping up, Max Dowman cameo as well. Maybe the down a bit too safe in attack, sloppy passes. But listen, the job was done. And that is the job description. You go, you win the game, you move on to the next round. Clean sheet to boot as well. So, Gunners, what was your biggest takeaway, from that game? Put it in the comments, join the conversation as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel. We'll be doing a preview of the Arsenal Newcastle game as well. So watch out for that one as well. Guys, this has been the Pavilion Debrief. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you on the next one.